So let's just go answering the phone. What are the main topics of answering the phone? And let's say there's no issues, no obstacles, questions, things like that. So what are the basic questions? And by the way, is that real? No. Patients are always going to typically have one or two obstacles. Typically, the only person who doesn't is a high referral. A high referral a lot of times won't have any secondary questions or obstacles. They'll just call in and schedule because it's a high referral, high trust. That's why. Okay, so let's do this first. Let's just cover the what are the bare minimum topics that you want to cover, and then the order you cover them becomes very important also. And this has to be trained in. Everybody has to know how to answer the phone. Okay. And then let's just go through it like let's just walk through it like there's no obstacles. And also understanding that that's not real. Okay. So what's the first thing you do? First, you want to answer the phone by the second ring. That's a rule. That's a rule. You answer the phone by the second ring. What's another rule? There's a priority of who answers the phone. The person who's designated to answer the phone first is the front desk person. Front desk person is to answer the phone before the second visit. And you go, well, why the front desk person? Because they're sitting in front of the appointment book. That's the rule. Now, if it does not get answered by the second ring, the rule is everybody goes for the phone. Everybody, and it's never to ring a third time. People don't call back. When they call and it doesn't get answered, they hang up and they call the next chiropractor. So these are rules. They're trained in. Staff's trained in. Front desk has the priority. They're to answer. In other words, if the front desk is busy, phone rings, they're to put the person on hold. Because who's the priority? Who's always the priority? The phone. Who's the next priority? Day one. Who's the next priority? Day two. You see how that works? So even if it's a day one they're dealing with, they're put on hold. Why? Because they're already in the office. The person on the phone isn't. So whoever they're dealing with is put on hold. Can you hold just a second, Mary? Pick up the phone. Okay? Now, for some reason, for whatever reason, they don't do that. And that phone rings a second time. It's hands on deck. Everybody go for that phone as fast as you can. Don't let it ring a third time. And then everybody should learn how to answer the phone and schedule patients, by the way. Okay, and without looking at the appointment book, and we cover how to do that. So that's number one. That's who should answer it. That's when they should answer it. How they should answer it is just the name of the office. Say, good afternoon, good morning, whatever the name of your office is. This is so-and-so speaking. How can I help you? Always identify your office. Say good morning or good afternoon, whatever it is. Identify your office. Always have the person identify the first name. Hi, this is Mary's first name. Whoever the front desk person is, this is Mary speaking. And then that's it. How can I help you? Okay. It is very frustrating when you call somewhere and you don't even know if you called the right place. In other words, they didn't even answer and tell you who it was. And it's very frustrating when the person doesn't even tell you their name. Make sure you say the name of your office and the name of the person answering that phone. So that's what it would sound like. Phone rings, ring, ring. Hello, Hillview Chiropractic, Marilyn speaking. How can I help you? That's what it would sound like. Hello, good afternoon. Hillview Chiropractic, Paul speaking. How can I help you? That's what it sounds like. All right, so that's the conversation started. Patient says something. I'd like to schedule an appointment. Typically, if it's a new patient, they typically say something like that. I'd like to schedule an appointment, or do you cover this insurance or something like that? Well, the very first thing you need to know is if it's a new patient or not. And here's what you don't want to say. Are you a new patient? Here's also what you don't want to say. Have we ever seen you before? There's nothing more frustrating than a patient who's been with you, a regular patient. They've been in and out of your office routinely. Maybe they've even been a long-term patient. And the front person doesn't recognize them and says, has you ever been in the office before? That's like a slap in the face. Because see, everybody thinks they're remembered. Everybody thinks they're important. And I'll be honest with you, I couldn't tell you 90% of my patients' names. And if you can remember all your patients' names, you probably don't have much of a practice. Well, I'm seeing 350 patient visits a week. On my own, I'm seeing 200. I'm not going to remember all of their names. A lot of times I had to look at the card. I had to grab the card just to remember what their first name was. Okay, so that's the next step. The next step is don't do those things. And what you do say is, when was the last time you saw the doctor? That's how you know what kind of patient you're dealing with. Is this a new patient? Is it an existing patient? Is it a reactivation patient? That's the question. When was the last time you saw the doctor? That's what it sounds like. All right, they go, oh, I'm a new patient. I need to schedule a patient. Okay, we can take care of that. And let's just go down. Let's do the bare minimum and start walking down that trail. And let's do it unrealistically where they don't have any obstacles. I've never been there. I like to schedule payment. Great, that's no problem. We can get you in. We can get you in. Before we schedule you, go ahead and schedule them. So you can go ahead and schedule them. Now, when you schedule, you got to learn how to schedule. The schedule it's always 2, 2, 2, 2. What you never do is say, when do you want to come in? I mean, when I hear that from a front desk, that's when I know there's a lot of bad stuff going on in that office. That's like a tip of an iceberg telling me there's a lot of bad stuff going on, because you're not in control of anything when you turn it over to patients and say, when do you want to come in? So we always give them multiple choices. And remember, we're going to go to 3 resistances to get them in today or tomorrow. The general rule is they're not allowed to go past today or tomorrow. The only reason that we're going to really allow that to happen is if they're out physically not available. They're physically out of town, or sometimes you'll have nurses that work 12-hour shifts. But we're going to go to the 3rd resistance, and we're going to teach our staff, what does that mean? What does 3rd resistance mean? So the 1st resistance is scheduling the patient. We can see you today or tomorrow. What works best for you? That's the option. We can see you today or tomorrow. What works best for you? Remember, motivation decreases 50% every 24 to 48 hours. We get distracted. Life happens. I mean, just in the last 3 days of my life, if I could have went back 3 days ago and go in the next, 72 hours, these are the things. It's totally different what's on my menu today versus 3 days ago. There's been a lot of stuff happen in the last three days to change my priorities. Well, that's called life. So that's why we're going to get them in immediately. We want them in today, and worst case tomorrow, and the day after that's not acceptable. So we're going to go to 3 resistances. Now you're going to have to be good to go to do the 3rd resistance. That's going to take some definite training and skill. Okay, so what's the 1st resistance? Okay, we can see in the morning or afternoon. What works best for you? Afternoon. Because early afternoon or late afternoon? Early afternoon. How about 2:15 or 2:45, 2:15 or 3:15? Which one works best for you? See? So you should always have on your schedule 2 options for new patients. We always schedule the new patients day 1, 2, 3, and 4, quarter till and quarter after. We schedule the regular visits on the hour and half hour. That's where you want to schedule the patients. And then we already know that we can schedule patients anytime during those hours, because even if there's already a new patient scheduled there, I don't care. We're still going to get another new patient in. We're just going to modify what we do. I don't have to spend 30 minutes with every new patient. If I just start the process, just get them to fill out the paperwork, meet them, touch the chief complaint, and send them over the x-rays. We're good to go. That's good enough for day 1. Just get them. We talk about that separately. You can't be so archaic and so regimented that you don't have the ability to fit in a new patient any damn time. You can't be that way. So you have to know how to just bring them in and squeeze them in and just do the bare minimum just to get the process started. Okay, so let's just go back to it's another new patient. So that's what it would say. So have 2 times in the early morning and late morning, 2 times in the late. So you might do You might do 9:15, 9:45, 10:15, 10:45, 11:15, 11:45. Now, generally in the morning, we don't like scheduling patients after 11. We'll schedule at 11 and then we want to clean them up and get them out of there. And now if it's a staff meeting day on Tuesday, because the staff meetings are Tuesday from 11 to 12, we're going to stop scheduling patients at 10:30. We want them all out of there by 11 so we can do our staff meeting. So that's blocked off. But I'm going to lead them to where I want them. So I'm going to say, today or tomorrow works best for you. Tomorrow, morning or afternoon. Morning. Is late, early morning or late morning? Late morning. Would you want to do 10:15 or 11:15 or 10:15 or 11:45? Say. And a lot of times I'll put 2 hours between. I may do 10:15 or 11:15 like that. So there might are 11:15, 11:45, 10:45, 11:45. But again, I'm going to try to stay away from going past 11. So I might say 10:15 or 11:15, something like that. But always have 2 time slots. 2 in the morning, two for the morning, 2. So it might be 9:15, 9:45, or 10:15 or 10:45. See, so that's 4 potential time slots in the morning, early or late, right there. And you'll be able to get 95, 97% of the people to. And remember, it's the 80-20 rule. You always have your rules to push the majority of people into. It'll never be 100%. There always will be somebody that'll have to do this or that. But we don't just let them do it. We're going to guide everybody. So that's how it's 222, 222. Okay. So find out what times you want to work with. If you want to do 9:15, 9:45 or 10:15, 10:45, then do it. You want to do 9:15 or 10:15 or 10:15 or 11:15. See, there you go. But you have 2. In that case I just gave, you'd have 4 different time slots in the morning or afternoon for new patients. We can do 9:15, 9:45, or we could do 10:15 or 10:45. So that's our early and later morning. And then do the same thing for the afternoon. If you open at 2, then do 2:15, 2:45, or we can do late afternoon, might be 3:15. In that case, you might just do 3 slots and one of them overlaps. So the afternoon would be 5:15, 5:45. You might do 4:15, 4:45. See, early afternoon, you could do 2:15 or 2:45, right? So pick your 2 slots for early morning, late morning, early afternoon, late afternoon. Pick your slots. Now that's where we're going to push 95% of the people. Will we take a new patient outside of that? Sure, but we're not going to let them just do what they want willy-nilly. And there's another clue when I deal with doctors that another tip of the iceberg effect. These doctors that don't take lunch. I go, I'll talk to you at lunch. Well, I don't take lunch. Well, what do you do at lunch? I see patients. That's a doctor that is absolutely not in control of his office. The patients are controlling him. You take your damn lunch. You move the patients to where you want to move them, and in those industrial hours. So that's why I say, if typical standard hours, 9 to 12, well, you stop scheduling at 11, 10:30 on Tuesday. And on occasion, will somebody have to come in at 12? Yeah. Is that the norm? No. We're going to go through 3 resistances before we let them do that. We're not just going to go, okay, when do you want to come in? 12. Okay. No, that's not how it works. No, you've got to control your practice. That means you got to let 1, 2, or 3% of the people go. You can't please everybody. You're going to have to let 1, 2, or 3% go and take the rest of them and put them to where you want them. And that's how you'll be hugely successful. You try to please everybody, you'll never be successful. You won't be able to do it. And you won't have crap for systems, that's for sure. So a lot of times it takes a while for doctors to get experience and confidence before they really understand what I just said. Usually it's the weak doctors that are letting the patients dictate when they come and go. All right. So having said that, right, we scheduled them. And again, I'm not going into resistances. We cover that separately. This is like bare bones, simple stuff with the phone call. So you scheduled them. The only thing I'm going to ask is, and let me just ask, if you don't mind me asking, how did you hear about us? We just want to know how they heard about us. And if they said it was a certain person, that's great. We want to know about it for trust factors. We want to know about it for marketing reasons. Okay. Especially for referral reasons. So we'll ask them that on the phone, and we'll definitely get that when they come in. That's a very, very important category of information. And then we'll ask, will this be, is this a workers' compensation, a personal injury, or major medical insurance, or self-pay? So I'm going to give them the options. Is this a work injury, auto injury, major medical? Will you be using auto insurance or self-pay? Now I'll say self-pay on purpose because some people feel guilty if you just go, uh, is this workers' compensation, personal injury insurance? And then they go, no. That kind of makes them feel like an outlier. So I will always say self-pay. In other words, I'm going to say what kind of insurance. Is this a work insurance, auto insurance, major medical insurance, or is this self-pay? Or they may even say Medicare. Okay. But I'm going to give them the options. And of course, we just want to know. So when they come in, obviously we're going to be, and we should already have 5 clipboards ready, or we should have multiple sign-ins available that are ready. You should never be scrambling for sheets that they need to fill out when a new patient comes in. This was the days before computer. I had 5 clipboards. I had 3 regular patient clipboards, and then I'd have personal injury and workers' comp. And in other words, my staff wasn't running to grab paper that the patient needed to fill out when they come in. It was already filled out on a clipboard and ready to hand to them. So you should have the same thing, whatever that is, whatever system you have. Do not have your staff running around trying to grab the sign-in sheets, that they need when a new patient comes in. That's bad. That shows just more chaos. So right when they come in. So that's the bare minimum that we're going to do. And then the last one is give them directions to the office. Do you know how to get to our office? And it doesn't matter what they say. That's the rule. It does not matter what they say. We're going to give directions. And you give directions based on landmarks. If you don't know this yet, do not give directions based on north, south, east, or west. I hate to say it, but a lot of women don't know north, south, east, or west. It reminds me, I was giving directions to a female friend of mine. She was coming over for that day, and we are going to head out. And I go, this is really when it really drove it home. I go, well, take 64 West, get on Ellington North, take Severe Road East, and then I'm right there on the right. And she goes, well, just tell me what mall you're near. But anyway, it's just good to dumb it down. So as an example, my office was behind Pizza Hut, which was right next to McDonald's, and that was right in the middle. I was in a small town. Everybody knew where McDonald's was, and there was only one McDonald's. It wasn't a town of 3,000. So they'd go. So the directions were, were you familiar? We went from out there. Are you familiar with Hillview? Well, are you familiar with the McDonald's in Hillview, right on the main street there? Right next to it is a Pizza Hut. We're in the building right behind the Pizza Hut. That's what it sounded like. We didn't say go south on Preston Highway for 4 miles and take a right on Ellingsworth. We didn't do that. So make sure you have landmarks and always give the landmarks no matter what. Okay. Especially now with the computers, it's really good now if you have a computer system where you can send them the link to the map, where you can text the map. That really is good. If you just go boom and it goes to their phone number and there's the map. And then tell them that. So I'll be sending you a new map. I'm still going to tell them the landmarks though. Okay. All right, Mary, we'll see you Friday at whatever time it is. Friday, we'll see you for October. We look forward to seeing you. So that's just a kind of the basics, classic of a simple phone call with no obstacles. That's the flow chart, and that's a little bit of the reasoning behind it. Okay. And then you start controlling patients. And then, of course, we go into second resistances, third resistances. We go into the obstacles, the money obstacles, the time obstacles, the clinical question obstacles. We'll go into those. So the next few weeks, we'll just pay attention to phone. In this particular webinar, we're just going to do nothing but cover the phone for the next couple of weeks. And that's what we'll do. We'll cover the obstacles, time and money obstacles on the phone, and then the clinical questions on the phone. But you have to have a person at the front desk who is a black belt with handling the obstacles, the time, money obstacles, and the clinical obstacles. You have to. If patients still have an obstacle, they're not coming in. They schedule past 48 hours. You just might as well tell yourself they're not coming in. So you have to have a front person desk that not only knows how to bring them in, especially handle all the major obstacles, and especially know how to get to the third resistance to get them in within 48 hours.